Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from
your company name here.
Studios in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up? What's up? Oh, there we go. What's up, OG5? We are back. Happy New Year. We've been gone away for 2 weeks. It seems so much longer because, well, we basically have a week in between shows, and so when you're gone away for 2 weeks, you feel like you're gone away for 6 weeks. But we haven't gone away that long, and Gordon's back with us once again. Gordon, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, man. It was a pretty good holiday season. Although I do got one complaint about a family member.
Off the truck, Steve?
Narcissistic Ned.
Yeah, good old Ned.
They're sitting there, narcissistic Ned's pretty well taken care of by his significant other, but he was talking about how the state keeps denying him for not unemployment but disability.
Those bastards.
He's going to take him to court because the
Did he
state
fall off like a
that,
ladder on a job?
No,
Did
no.
he get hit by like
It's
a
health-related,
state-owned
but
trash truck?
No, it's health related, but in my opinion, it is something that there are a lot of people who has dealt with this in their lives, and they continue to go work. But
Does it have to do with a back and or neck?
No back, no neck, more stomach.
Oh. Irritable bowel syndrome. I got you.
Well, just imagine that to the extreme.
You know, I need to talk to you.
Narcissistic Ned is now a man with no asshole.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a little different.
But needless to say, the state
depending
says,
on
well,
one's trade,
you could find work. You're just going to have to do something different than what you're used
I was going to say, depending on one's trade, the necessitation of emptying one's bag a few times a day may be difficult depending on what sort of work site you have.
Well, it's not really necessarily physical labor.
Okay.
But, he considered this job his career of 5 years.
Now, I just want to warn you to tread on eggshells here. Not
going much further.
Not because I'm concerned that you may or may not offend narcissistic Ned, but we still do not know what we said to offend the fine censors over at YouTube, and I would hate to have another show removed from their network for bullying and harassing.
I say fuck YouTube, but that's me.
I'm going to make a shirt.
Now I just picked on YouTube, and we'll get.
I think the terminology I'm going to do for our shirt is going to be community guideline violator and proud, or proud community guideline violator.
And how many podcasters and influencers have that shirt already?
I haven't seen anybody wear them, so there you go.
Community violator? Huh.
Nope, not a one. You know, as of right now, our theme song is in the clear. Sad news for the fans of the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast after 5 long years. You know, when I worked in radio, we had...
now, this is the
World War II
music
podcast.
That's very old-timey, right?
Yeah, so when I worked in radio... the rule of thumb was any song recorded prior to 1962 was not eligible for copyright. Because copyright laws didn't come out until 63 or 65, and they backdated a little bit.
Let me guess, Sony stepped in and decided to kind of like, what's that photographic company?
Getty Images.
Yeah, kind of decided to just claim things.
Yeah.
Post-date.
You know, I was thinking we want to do some work with maybe using the image of for advertising purposes, not advertising, but to get the name out of one Eugene Sledge, because his son's a co-host on my podcast. And I was thinking, it's funny. I'm going to have Henry get me unpublished private photos of his father so that I can digitize them so that Getty Images can't come back and say that they own the photo of his father and we aren't allowed to use it. That's where we are in the world.
Is there a chance that Getty Images owns anything I put up online?
Well, they're usually really good at putting their watermark on it. I've always said, you made it.
I didn't know if they were just going to go and start claiming things as theirs.
No, what they claim they do is they buy the rights to the original digitized version of an image. That's why you see a photo from 1923 and they own the rights to it. It's like, well, how do you own that photo?
Getty Images. And how do you say that in 19?
But anyhow, the reason I bring that all up is after, by the way, happy 5-year anniversary. We are on year number 5 now. This podcast started in 2018. But now that we have met the guidelines required by YouTube to become monetized, if enough people watch our videos and the advertising, there's a procedure that has to go in place. One, you got to hit the X amount of views and subscribers, which we've done. Next, for some unknown reason, AdSense, instead of texting me or emailing me a 6-digit code as a form of two-form authentication, they mail it to you in the mail. They mailed it out on the 1st, so it's supposed to take 6 weeks. I haven't got it, so I had to resubmit. I almost think they're dragging feet to slow down the process, but so we're waiting for our business card with 6 digits to come in so I can go to the website and put that in to verify who we are. But the other thing
So
is...
we're talking about a company who's technologically savvy, of course.
Mhm.
Pardon me. Relying on snail mail for communications.
Correct. And the third step is YouTube has to go through our videos to make sure they don't violate community guidelines, which one of our episodes for this podcast was taken down already. Good news, as long
Now,
as...
is that a live human being or is that an AI?
I don't
algorithm?
know, and I haven't checked, but I think it's Tumble.
God forbid, man. I feel sorry for the sucker who's got a...
I think it's Tumble.
Suck.
It's either Tumble or Tumblr. There's a quote-unquote conservative YouTube-esque thing that came out, and I have it set
Rumble?
up.
Rumble
Yeah,
with
Rumble.
an
I have
R?
Rumble set up that it'll automatically copy the videos off of YouTube, so I haven't gone back to see if that episode's on Rumble or not. But anyhow, the reason I bring all this up is now that YouTube's going through all our old videos, I keep getting dinged for the theme song on the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast. Now, it's not a strike. It's not going to affect our monetization, but what will happen if I continue to use that theme song as the new shows get viewers, any money made from that one show will go to the person who owns the copyright of that song, and I don't like the song that fucking much. Now, I know what you're thinking. Don, you're an IT guy. You've been doing YouTube videos. You know that YouTube has this channel called Audio Vault or Audio whatever. It's all public domain, free to use songs.
Well,
funny thing happens with those.
That's a tricky wicket there. You actually have to, if you notice on some of mine, I try to credit them where they ask for credit and everything else.
But the only other problem with that is those songs are not public domain in perpetuity. Those are public domain until somebody goes to the artist and says, hey, I'll buy that song off of you.
Correct.
And so I have gotten post violations for videos I put up 3 years ago using their public domain music from their vault that has since been sold. So it's like, is a creator who has hundreds and hundreds of videos going to have to pay someone that go back and re-edit, take songs out?
Well,
Or do you just say, well, I guess that video, any money that video ever generates is just going to go to that guy now because I put that free song in there 6.5 years ago and now it's no longer free.
So moving forward,
Yeah.
because there's really nothing you can do about the past. I know a lot of people look in the rearview mirror constantly in their lives. You do have a very close family member that is a musician, correct?
Yeah, but I don't know if she's going to be able to get together a full orchestra to create a 1940s era swing big band song to make a theme song for free. So,
No, this person has keyboards.
oh, Dad,
Yeah.
I've asked him to write jingles for our shows, and that's not his bag. I've gone down that route. I said, hey, man,
Okay.
I need
So
music.
that stone's been turned over a couple of
Yeah,
times.
so anyhow, so that's kind of the where we're at. That's their little, here we are. Mike will be back probably next week. Christmas got canceled. Nothing eventful there.
Whoa. Who canceled Christmas?
Arguing, kids deciding to go ahead and open their presents 4 days in advance, fighting, blah blah blah, just turmoil and fighting. That's all we have here in the household. New Year's Eve was a little interesting this year. I haven't purchased Mortar since we got Bebop because she's the first dog that I've ever had that's deathly afraid of sky booms. And so we kind of anticipated sky booms because my neighbors across the street behind the house will set off mortars on a Wednesday night in the middle of freaking October for fun. They don't care about holidays, but when it is holiday time...
So basically a couple of cervezas or beers in, it's like, hey, let's do it.
I don't know if the kid lives there, loves fireworks, but somebody in that house probably has a budget of $150 a month in mortars. They're just constantly letting them off. But now it's New Year's Eve.
Dad's going to come home one day and realize his mortar supply is running a little short.
It's New Year's Eve, and so now all the neighbors are doing it. That's fine. I'm not a party pooper. But Carrie brought up a good point that I didn't even consider.
Beat you to the punch?
In the vicinity of the area in which my generalized neighbors are letting off mortars that explode in the air and rain down beautiful red flickering lights. I'm going to say 63% of the houses are covered in plastic tarps. And Carrie's like, what's the likelihood of one of those catching a roof on fire? Like, well, they blow
Not
up pretty
really.
damn high. I said, but hypothetically, if in the chance of a lot of people don't, like one of the things I do with my mortars, I put them on a wider base so they don't fall over, where a lot of people don't. They put them on the uneven street. I said, in the unlikelihood that a mortar were to detonate lower than it should, hypothetically, I guess it could potentially catch all these plastic tarps on fire, but
Now,
we should be all right.
did you try running a lighter on one of those plastic tarps just to see how flammable they were?
No, because I'm not talking about the tarps you sent. I'm talking about the tarps that the Army Corps of Engineer put up. Well, their people put up, and they're basically, they're not
Plastic drop
tarps.
cloths?
I was gonna say they're not tarps because tarps are
What
not
painters put down inside a house.
blue tarps are not the tarps of our grandfather's day. Those things, and one of the poor sons of bitch on the other side of my neighborhood put them up, and they're already gone. They just disintegrate in the sun. So
So
what?
you're saying when we come out there here in a few months, I may be, my eyes may be inundated with blue tarps still?
Yes, but technically they're not tarps. They're almost the same plastic that you see them heat shrink high performance boats with when they're on trailers. That's the thickness of this shit. And so it's not just your run of the mill, get it on the lows. They come out with the giant rolls and they frame it with like 1/4-inch pieces of wood, and it's done professionally. And they tape off all your seals and around all your fart fans so you can get proper ventilation and all that stuff. But this stuff is super thick, just like, you know, it's almost like they heat shrink stuff. You
Hey,
see 'em.
Carl, I need you to grab the heat gun.
Yeah, well, it ain't Carl, but
Hey, Carlos, I need to have you
yeah,
grab the heat
yeah,
gun.
Hefe. Yep. Here's a little interesting story. I want to get right to it.
Okay.
I got a kind of precursor to this one to get to my overall topic. But prior to the holidays, we were talking about how there's been a case of people deciding it's a good idea to shoot electronic substations and cause power outages.
Why? Why, oh, why? Just to create havoc, right?
So you would think. But let me give you the story, and then let me give you the follow-up, and then we'll get to the topic at hand. So, Dateline, December 25th. Yeah, right around good old Christmas time. Washington vandals take out 3 power substations on Christmas, leaving 15,000 people without electricity. Merry fucking Christmas. Roughly 15,000 people in Washington State woke up without power Christmas morning after 3 substations vandalized in the early hours. Vandalism began early on 2:30 a.m. In the words of Stan Haney, nothing good comes after midnight. Sunday, when a substation controlled by Puget Sound Energy was damaged and lost power. About 7,700 customers lost power due to that failure, but it was restored around 5 a.m., according to the company spokesperson. So that was a failed job.
So
Another
it's Puget
substation
Sound,
was
huh?
put out of service throughout work of vandals. By 5:30 a.m., Tacoma Public Utilities reported following the second substation shortly after the sheriff's office said the outages affected 7,300 customers. Utility company restored the power but to all but 2,700 customers. Because
Well, so far, I'm hearing areas that were very famous during the 2020 riots. But keep going.
well, that's just a little opener. I'm not going to go down the rest of that one because I want to get to my topic at hand, which Gordon kind of hinted about. And so I want to call this Too Dumb for Their Own Good or Clever Like a Fox. Too
Or some
dumb
crazy right-wing asshole just doing
for
it
their
too.
own good or clever like a fox. 2 men charged in the attack on substations in Washington State. One man told law enforcement officials that he and another person had planned to disrupt power in the area to commit. What was the reason for outing, Gordon? They're going to tear down the system? They're going to stick it to the man?
Or just create chaos.
No, more basic than that.
Or just having funsies.
No, they wanted to disrupt power in the area to commit burglary, according to court documents. Because after all, as we say here in Florida, when the power goes away, looters come out to play.
Yeah, but
The attack
Well-
left thousands without power. Well, you should see these 2 gentlemen. They're not exactly the cream of the crop.
so wait a second. So my logic is
Hold on, let me finish reading the story, and then we can go over logic, because that's my question. Too
Illogic.
dumb for their own good, or clever like a fox? 2 men
too
charged on
dumb.
Tuesday in connection with the attacks on 4 power substations in Washington State on December 25th that left thousands without power, a crime that authorities said had been intended as a ruse so that the men could burglarize local businesses. The men, Matthew Greenwood, 32, old enough to know better. And his mentor, his hero, if you will, young Jeremy Crohan, 40, of Puyallup, Washington, were arrested on December 31st. Look at them with a quick turnaround time. After an investigation led by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, both were charged on Tuesday with conspiracy to damage energy facilities and possession of unregistered firearms, the Justice Department said. After he was arrested, Mr. Greenwald told law enforcement officers that he and Mr. Karen, whatever, who gives a fuck, had been planning to disrupt power in the area to commit burglaries. According to the United States Attorney's Office for the Western District of Washington, Mr. Greenwood said that him and Mr. Dickhead broke into 4 substations by using bolt cutters. The men caused outages using various methods, including manipulating breakers and tampering with switches, according to the court documents. After the power in the area was disrupted, Mr. Greenwell and his cohort went to local businesses, drilled out locks, and stole unspecified amounts of cash from the registers, court documents said. Now, are these guys so
nobody will
dumb?
accept because no businesses use the legal tender of the United States anymore.
Yeah. So these guys are either so dumb that they didn't realize they were committing a felony and a domestic terrorist act and a ruse to maybe, if they're lucky, get $2,000 over robbing 6 places. Because as Gordon so helpfully pointed out, most places don't really carry any cash tender, and if they do, they probably have $50 in their safe. Or were these guys clever like a fox because they were doing domestic terrorism and trying to stick it to the man and crush the society? But I will just say we're just going to rob some business.
I will say too dumb for their own good, but it almost sounds like a plan that came up over a couple of joints.
Mm-hmm.
Or some beer. Or a little bit of both. Man, if we just take out the power.
Yep.
None of these places, they don't have UPSs. Some of these places probably don't even have backup generators.
You mean an
So they'll pull down
uninterruptible power supply?
They'll pull down their surveillance and security network. We can just waltz our way in and abscond with the goods.
I'm trying to figure out how much time these 2 dickheads are looking at. Let's see. The 2 substations that were targeted and operated by Tacoma Power and the damages of those substations are estimated to cost at least $3 million. Don't worry, I'm sure these guys can cover that. The U.S. Attorney's Office said the damage to those substations will take up to 36 months to repair, requiring the power company to use mobile transformers at each facility, court documents said.
That's union work, so they're definitely going to slow down.
So these guys...
And it's utility, too, because they have no competition. But what would they do to do $3 million worth of work? To cause $3 million worth of damage?
You know the answer to that.
Because I'm sure a rifle would not cause $3 million worth of damage.
It's a contract that's probably going to be covered by FEMA, and so things get inflated. As I said, they turned a few breakers off.
So it's already double what it would normally cost, and then you start adding well, it also needs an upgrade now because it was out of spec, so we're going to have to throw that cost on there.
Supply chain issues, that's going to...
Oh, and that is a real fucking thing. I hate to say it.
But these 2 guys, if they would have simply picked a local convenience store or pawn shop, gun store.
Shit, the way fucking retail is these days, all they could have done is waltzed in and waltzed out and put shit up on Facebook.
Especially on the West Coast. Went around back, found the exterior breaker, shut the exterior power off, went inside,
behind the door. Yep.
Got arrested. They would probably be looking at 8 months to 12 months in jail if convicted. But since they decided to attack 4 substations, they're probably looking at like 30 years in federal prison for fucking domestic terrorism. So,
well, at least I get 3 hots in a cot.
To all you, that don't even sound satisfying after watching enough episodes 60 days in. I couldn't imagine 35 years.
I remember telling you about that show. You're like, I have no desire to watch it.
It's
well, there is a couple of these 68 days, and people had moved to Vegas. And it's that chick that's married to her husband.
Carrie's like, would you go in? I'm like, no. She's like, not for $60,000. I'm like, nope.
You send Nugget in?
She might end up on her own.
She ended up running the joint.
I was like, no. Because and you guys are like, well, they don't give away money on that show. Anytime you do a TV show and you're on set, you make
There's
you
compensation
make
somewhere.
you make SAG minimum, which is $12 an hour. So, and that's a bare minimum. So take $12 an hour times 24 hours a day, because you're on set 24 hours a day. It roughly comes out about $65,000 that you're looking at when you
And there's
walk out of that
probably
joint.
overtime and double time, certain days and hours that
Mm-hmm.
it tricks over. And I'm sure they make
Same
more than
thing with
SAG
Naked
minimum.
and Afraid and Alone. So when you feel bad that guy went 90 days on Alone and he didn't get the prize money, he's still walking out there probably clearing 100 and 100 and a half because he spent.
More than probably clearing double what he'd make anyway on a
And
regular.
exactly. And there's like, how can these guys afford to go on Naked and Afraid for 21 days? Because they probably bring home $8,000 a month, or they can go on a TV show and come back
then
and
the
make
speaking
25
engagements
grand.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And so
Would you go on Naked and Afraid?
thought about it. I
Yeah.
want to go on the reality shows that give you the free set of teeth. I want to go on Big Brother and get kicked off on the first episode just so that I get the veneers. A lot of those reality shows, if you notice, everybody's got immaculate fucking teeth because they know in America people hate bad teeth. So a lot of those cats go on those shows, they get the free fucking veneers and they're gone in 3 episodes. Who cares? You just got $30,000 worth of dental work for free. Or at least get a good polishing anyhow.
Good cleaning,
A good cleansing.
a little straightening.
A little revamping. Here's a
Mhm.
little story. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but a little cautionary tale for you young entrepreneurs out there. As somebody who worked side by side with other young entrepreneurs for the last 18 years, I've seen this at least 6 to 7 times. So I was not surprised when I read that out of Clearwater, Dateline January 1st, because, why not start off the year right? Clearwater woman accused of stealing nearly $29,000 from her employer. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Good old-fashioned embezzlement, because it always works.
Until it doesn't.
Clearwater woman was arrested on New Year's Eve after being accused of stealing thousands of dollars from her employers. You say, Don, you mean she actually stole $29,000? No, it usually works about $500 to $1,000 at a time over a couple.
Or the Office Space way.
Yeah, that too. An arrest affidavit filed on Largo Police Department said Haley Justin Gayhart, 29, of Clearwater, stole a total of $28,915 from an unidentified employer.
Wow, does a name get any whiter than that?
No, especially out of Largo. Haley Justine Gayhart. Only way you'd get any more white trash now is if it was a dude and was stuck with a
Her name would
junior
have
at
to be
the
Crystal
end.
or April, but yes.
Have a junior stuck to the end. Of police said Gayhart used her employer payroll account on QuickBooks to pay herself large amounts of unearned wages along with her regular pay. Because that's a sure way not to get caught, just to write
God
yourself
damn it,
checks
I
through
don't get paid enough. I'm
QuickBooks.
going to fill this up for how much I think I'm worth.
So she wasn't taking the proverbial money out of the proverbial, what do they call that?
She's cutting herself checks.
I know, that's what I'm saying. She wasn't smart enough to take it out of the, what do they call that? The petty cash drawer, $50 at a time. This bitch is logging on to QuickBooks online with her username and password and depositing money into her bank account. No one's ever going to figure this one out.
Because I run the books.
The suspect was also accused of stealing multiple checks from her
called,
employer and writing them out to her own mother.
CPAs go through that shit once a year.
Did you hear that last part? Because a family that steals together serves time together. The suspect was
boy.
also accused of stealing multiple checks from her employer and writing them out to her mother. And her full fucking name. Because I'm sure mother works there too. This is all substantiated by subpoenas that the officer obtained for the defendant's bank records with Wells Fargo, the affidavit said. Gayhart
Are
was
we sure that she's not related to the gentleman out of
Washington. Could be
area?
a distant relative. Gayhart was charged with a scheme to defraud $20,000 to $50,000. That's the range for this particular level of crime, and booked into Pinellas County. The reason I bring this up, I feel like I need a disclaimer. This is not me advising people how to go about doing this, but I've had a lot of people who have had a lot of people steal from them. And it happened not too long ago when I was talking to another business owner who had since retired about this person having someone embezzle money off of him. And he said, well, it happens a lot. I said, I know, I've seen it a lot. He said, well, it happened to me. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, our person who had access to our QuickBooks was stealing money. I was like, did you have him arrested? He's like, I tried. I said, and that's what always confuses me, that it seems like the people who do these embezzlements never get arrested. or see any jail time, with the exception of Captain White
It's a
Trash.
victimless crime.
Well, not that. Here's the
I know,
problem.
I'm being facetious, but go ahead.
Depending on the amount of money in which they stole, i.e.,
Just
if
under
it's
$1,000.
if it's less than what court cost investigation fees would be, then
Mhm.
usually the employer throws up her hands because
Lawyer.
in this particular case, the police said, well, who had access to your QuickBooks? To which a business owner said, I do, my wife, and Sheila. Sheila stole the money. And the cop said, well, you're going to have to prove to us that you or your wife didn't steal the money and trying to peg it on Sheila. And so he knew Sheila stole the
Well,
money.
that means they've seen a few of those too.
And so basically what it comes down to is the amount of money they stole more than what it's going to cost in time, lawyers, investigators, background to determine and prove that she was the fact, unless she was the only person who has access to QuickBooks. So I say all that to say this. If you're a new business owner, an old business owner, and if you haven't done this, when you start getting that extra money, you want to reinvest in your business or maybe take a bonus, don't. Hire a third party to audit your books every once in a while to make sure that Sheila and her mother and anybody else who has your username and password to your QuickBooks aren't stealing money out from underneath you, because I know you're a busy person, running a business and trying to find employees and marketing and all the shit you do on your own. But
Sheila happens to find herself locked out of her machine one day.
especially if Sheila is the type of person that always seems to have problems going on, maybe those aren't the ones that you want, handling your company's finances. So it's just I don't know. I've seen it so many times, but once again, it's like they never.
Isn't it amazing the amount of people we work with out there or walk around in the world that seem to have problems all the time?
What amazes me is most of those people's problems require more energy than just participating in society does.
You mean kind of like chasing down some disability?
Or chasing down disabilities or putting properties in different people's homes that you don't. It's just.
I'm waiting for
running
that
the
conversation, and
gambit.
He's gonna be like, how do you know how I feel? Because this is me, and I'll be like, motherfucker, what you do? This is what I would do. Is you would find some cases similar to yours to take some inspiration from.
Yeah, but
you want to talk about people who had a bad day? Listen to all these like Black Rifle podcasts and all these podcasts, the Medevac podcast, where these guys are missing limbs and they are seizing the day.
I just got done reading a book called The Longest Winter. It's about the Battle of the Bulge. Now, most people know the Battle of the Bulge through Band of Brothers. I think primarily it was the 101st and the 506 there, but no, the 99th Infantry Division and the 2nd Infantry Division were there. And in this book, the guys from the 99th Division, they held off the Northeast Corridor, and one platoon slowed down the entire German advance, the SS Panzer advance. Everybody was wiped out, but like 4 people who were taken prisoner. And most of this book talking about the atrocities of living in German POW camps. Interestingly enough, one of the guys survived and moved to Lehigh, and the other guy vacationed in Fort Myers. Sadly, it was in the 90s, so I went around to interview him. But I say all that to say this. One of these guys took a PPSH to the face. Now, I'm not saying he got pistol whipped or smacked with a fucking barrel. I'm saying he got shot in the fucking face with a PPSH. And in no lack of detail did he not explain about how he laid in a German POW camp for days and then on a train with his teeth embedded in his mouth from where his teeth and face got shot up with 9mm rounds from a PPSH. And how basically he laid in multiple German prison camps with no antibiotics, no medication, with the exception of what morphines he had on him, but that done wore off. This poor son of a bitch went months with his face shot up and his teeth embedded in his mouth until finally he lost enough weight that the teeth fell out of the top of his mouth because they had room to. And these people come home, and most of them live a productive life. In his case, the pain was so bad that at some point he couldn't handle it anymore. But to Gordon's point, there's a lot of people who go off to fight for this country, or even in car accidents, motorcycle accidents, freak accidents. Maybe they did a front flip into a pool and hit their head on the bottom, broke their neck. They still find ways to make the best of their situation, play the hand they're dealt, and do it with support of their family, their community, and their own free will, and not constantly look for other ways around it.
They spend more energy trying to not do it the right way than
Well, it's not even the people on disability, but it's like the people who like, I don't want to work, so I'm going to go. Perfect example. Dave and I used to talk about this.
You mean like they're calling them Zoomers now, but then they may get demonetized.
No, I'm talking like the guys that you see on trash day who go out and spend 12 hours picking up recycling material, and then they go to the fucking recycle place, and then they get $68. It's like, dude, you could have worked at Walmart for 12 hours and made a hell of a lot more money and not beat up what's left of your poor pickup truck.
Not working for the man. You're like, working for the man. Where's your freedom in man?
I guess. Where's your... You know, you're working for the man, too, because every time you go and drop a load, not
Who's
that
the
type.
man? Is the man the government or is the man the business? To me, the man's the government.
Yep.
You know.
Speaking of shady people, let's talk about cars. Do you like cars? I like cars. You want to talk about Kia or Porsche first? Freeze up.
Let's do Kia.
Okay. Kia works with the topic of the show, which is defrauding people.
Which they are owned by Hyundai, by the way.
Now, not Kia in general, but the fine people who tend to buy Kia franchises tend to fall a little bit on the shadier side, like the guy who came down here and opened up the huge place after he got ran out of New Jersey and New York from lawsuits. But I digress.
Huge? Was he huge?
He was until he died.
Now you just got the show pulled.
Dan O'Brien Kia of Concord, New Hampshire, was hit with a $1.25 million fine after allegedly luring car buyers into auto loans they couldn't afford. Sounds like the housing bubble all over again. Check out this fucking racket.
Actually, I've been hearing stuff about that. People are predicting this would be bad for the economy for the last 3-4 years.
New Hampshire's Attorney General, John Formella, called the dealership's actions, quote, some petty, egregious behavior, and noted that his office received a plethora. What is a plethora, El Guapo? I don't know. I'm not as smart as you. But they actually, in this article, right, they received a plethora of complaints leading up to this result.
A gaggle, a grip.
What did they do over at good old Dan O'Brien Kia of Concord? As reported by WMUR9, the Kia dealership pressed customers into loans they couldn't afford, promising, and I've heard this before, promising a more affordable finance after 6 months. So you go in there and you say, hey, that monthly payment's about $200 more than I want. Well, what you do is you finance it and make on-time payments in 6 months, and then you refinance it. Little do you know, they'll only reapprove you for $38 less a month. So that's common. That's not.
And then you add the fees on top of it.
That's not exactly that egregious, but here's where it gets a little crazy. The refinance program didn't exist, though according to Formella, the results was buyers trapped in unaffordable loans. But here's where it gets crazy. Dan O'Brien Kia also forged at least one loan document. Formella's office said the dealership would inflate the income of some buyers to get approvals from loans and submit the documents without the buyer's approval. So the buyers put down, I make $38,000 a year. O'Brien's head of sales or fucking finance says he makes $57,000 a year to get that Kia. They get approved for this extremely high loan and interest rates, and then come back. The settlement is only part of the punishment. So as we said at the top of the story, they got hit with a $1.25 million.
But the whole lie to the bank from the dealership's guy saying this guy can actually afford it and he can't.
Well, check out what the smart Attorney General's office from Concord, New Hampshire did. So as at the top of the story, he said they got hit with a $1.2 million fine. But check us out. Scroll back down. The settlement is only part of the punishment for the dealer. It must first pay further restitution to 2 customers in particular. Also, here's the kicker. All financial discussions the dealership has with customers for the next 5 years must be recorded. The Attorney General's office said this outcome is not a guilty verdict, to be clear. It is a settlement. It doesn't necessarily represent any admission of wrongdoing on the part of DMO Auto Acquisitions, Dan O'Brien Kia, parent company. Indeed, DMO said the settlement that it welcomes the New Hampshire Attorney General's monitoring process, something that it claims it has already been conducting for years. You don't say that when they've already proved you've been lying or your employer has been lying. Don't say you've been tracking it because then you suck at your job.
Well, being that they got to start recording it, I could see how all of a sudden the conversation gets quiet because he's texting them. Hey, can I get your number?
Furthermore, the company's focus continues to remain on customer providing them with the best possible service. Because after all, it wasn't us, it was just a few bad rogue employees.
That's all it takes sometimes.
So we go from a Kia dealership. What's the one thing we gotten tired of since the last, I don't know, 4 years or so? Maybe 5, possibly, yeah.
You name it, there's a million things.
Protesters?
Oh, yeah. Those guys.
What's the worst type of protester, not including BMW?
The ones who protest for a cause, but they have no intimate knowledge with said cause.
That's a good start. How about people who protest for a cause by either trying to destroy your art that's usually behind a piece of plastic, or gluing themselves to a location?
Yeah, those are just dum-dums.
Well, we've seen the news stories where these dickheads will glue themselves to the street, and the police promptly come out there with some heat guns and some glue be gone, and they remove them from their sticky wicket. And, we're like, the hell with them, you should kick their ass and all that stuff, right?
Don's turning into a wino.
Check out this fun story. Climate protesters glue themselves to the Porsche Museum.
Yes.
But
I know this story.
they needed to go potty.
What did the Porsche Museum do? What did their employees do?
Not to sound like I'm making predetermined statements on one's heritage, but I can think of 2 or 3 nationalities of people that you don't want to fuck with. Germans being one of them.
I mean, they did start the 2 world wars. Although they may not be, they'll be on the good side in the next one.
Well, when you lose the first 2 tournaments, you want to get on the good side for the third one.
The third one may be Russia.
So the climate protesters glued themselves to the Porsche Museum but needed to go potty. Too bad staff simply left, turning off the heats and the lights rather than calling the police.
Oh, they'll just call the police next day.
So these guys are used to getting some media attention, getting the police, the paramedics out there with some heat guns, some glue be gone, and some scrapers. Now at the Porsche Museum said, hey, we honor your desire to protest. We want you to have your moment, so we are going to step away and allow you to have your time. We're just going to turn off the electricity that we pay for.
And one of them had to use the bathroom real bad, right?
Climate change activists protesting industrial governments had a busy summer in Europe. A relentless outfit called Just Stop Oil in the UK has been creating disruptions anywhere.
We go to electric cars. That's probably 2 to 3 dead kids out of the Congo that make each one of those batteries.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm looking at this photo of 4 of the people from Just Stop Oil, and you know what all 4 of them have on their feet, Gordon? Tennis shoes with rubber soles.
Huh?
They're all wearing tennis shoes with rubber soles.
I wonder where those are made.
I wonder if their clothing has any petroleum products in it. I wonder.
No.
They're not wearing Toms. They're not wearing flip-flops. They're not wearing canvas sacks on their feet. One guy's got a nice pair of probably some expensive glasses, But anyhow, I digress.
Anything made out of plastic comes from petroleum.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just Stop Oil in the UK has created disruptions everywhere from major highways to the British Formula One Grand Prix. And most recently, they threw tomato soups on a Van Gogh painting at the National Gallery in London across the channel. I'm sorry.
Because that painting had everything in the world to do with it.
Across the channel, yeah. And, back in Van Gogh's day, we were just fucking burning shit down. All the cars.
If you really want to do it, why don't you just throw a rotten tomato at it? Let's go old school.
Across the channel, and the Tour de France, we all know what that is, but they won't explain it's the Tour de France cycling race.
Oh, they got it.
Was forced to pause during several stages by climate activists who glued themselves to the road.
Wait a second. You're protesting an athletic event that's based on the form of transportation you prefer everybody to go to.
Well, no, they were at this particular time they were protesting over France's eastern border. A group called Scientist Rebellion took to the sticky route when 9 members glued their hands to the floor. I'm sorry. Activists glued themselves to the road over France's eastern border. Okay,
So I'm seeing
different
a
story.
common thread here, and it's a little disturbing. This gluing thing.
Yeah, because they can't be forced to leave. The media shows up, and the cops they're gone within 3 or 4 hours. But over France's eastern border, a group called the Scientist Rebellion took the sticky route when 9 members glued their hands to the floor of the Porsche Pavilion at Volkswagen's Autostadt Museum in Wolfsburg on Tuesday. Yeah. The protesters had several requests for the VW Group CEO Oliver Bloom, as listed in a Twitter thread about the event.
Well, I know we're an uninvited guest who's actually kind of a nuisance and they glued themselves to the floor. However, I got some requests.
We have demands, because we wouldn't be protesters if we didn't have demands. Among them, support for capping the maximum speed on German highways to 100 kilometers, 62 miles per hour.
No, so they're not a fan of.
They're not a fan of the Autobahn. Hastings VW's move. 62 kilometers an hour. Hastings Volkswagen's move to lower its carbon emissions, canceling the debt and interest payments. So how?
I'm wondering when they were on their way there if they happened to be on the Autobahn if they only stayed at 62 miles an hour.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
They probably rode their bikes. Hastings VW's move to lower its carbon emissions, canceling the debt and interest payments owed to VW by Global South, and pressure the government to comply with our demands. Such protests are happening all over.
And my demands to be met.
They demand the demands to be met. Such protests are happening all over that there's now a standard back and forth. A group disrupts traffic, makes a scene, authorities are called in.
Oh, here we go again.
Almost indefinitely, the media show up, capturing the ruckus as protesters are unglued and unchained and coaxed down. The Autostraft in Volkswagen, Germany, amongst Wolfsburg factory complex, with an immense glass storage tower, suffered shuffling completed vehicles awaiting delivery in the pavilions of Audi's seat, Lamborghini, and Porsche. This should have made the perfect place for back and forth, a magnet for police and intervention in media. Instead, those silly crowds weren't playing the game. Staff at the VW Museum ignored the playbook. Instead of calling the Wolfsburg police, immediately staff recognized the right to protest. We're here for you. We recognize your right to protest. Then they simply closed the pavilion for the evening and left, turning off the lights and the heat as they walked away. Probably shuffled and laughed. I would have loved to have been in that group.
Oh, they probably went to the bar.
The UK Atlas Express, likely sick of it happening on its own shores and not inclined to be charitable, wrote that the protesters, quote, pled for medical treatment because their hands were sore and they moaned that they couldn't use the toilet. So we need emergency assistance stat because our hands hurt. I glued myself to the floor in protest, but my hands hurt and I can't use the toilet.
I didn't know. I did not have to be so bad.
The paper, the UK Express, who has been labeled as being tired of this nonsense, interviewed one protester who said that, quote, the staff refused our request to provide us with a bowl to urinate and to defecate in a discreet manner while we are glued.
Glue yourself to the floor like animals.
And we can't. Oh, here's the best part. So you're 9 people. You got this 9 times. You got this great idea. We're going to go to the Volkswagen Museum. We're going to glue ourselves around some of the most fancy Porsches on there. Cops are going to show up.
Just because where does the term Niner come from and why do they use it?
49ers?
No, Niner, when you're talking on the radio, especially a military.
I don't know.
It is because of the Germans, especially now that they're part of NATO, you say Niner so you don't get confused with no.
Gotcha. Same reason they don't say 4 over the radio. It's 1, 2, 3, 5. Because back when you had shooting communications, 4 sound an awful lot like fire. You don't want people shooting when they're not supposed to.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyhow, back to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
So not only were they mad because the assholes at Porsche left them to do their thing, their hands hurt and they had to tinkle potty. Apparently,
in an uncompromising position we put ourselves in.
Apparently, Gordon, they had some grumblies in their tumblies.
Uh-huh. Should have had that fucking nasty ass microwave burrito.
No. they
Taco Bell?
wanted that microwave burrito because they refused a request. We already talked about the toilet bowls, right? Yep.
Yep.
And they couldn't order their food. So not only did their hands hurt,
How dare
not
the
only did
people
the Museum of
Volkswagen
Porsche
not allow these guys to order their food?
not provide them with a
That'll end up all
discreet
over the
way
cars.
to urinate and defecate in front of one another. I guess they wanted like a toilet, a bucket, and a tent brought in. But since everybody left, no one was there to take food orders. What kind of group of fucking elitist assholes are these protesters? Let's be honest. We can't order our food, and we must
Well,
use.
the brilliance in the staff, because if they did give a bowl, that waste could end up on their cars. If they did order food, cars could be kind of grossed out and mucked up by that.
So here's the full complaint.
Okay.
The
hope the judges
paper
are gonna laugh
interviewed
these
one
guys out of court.
protester who said to the staff, quote, "They refused our request to provide us with a bowl to urinate and to defecate in a discreet manner while we are glued, and we can't order our food." This part don't make sense, but maybe it's lost in translation. "We can't order our food. We must use the one provided by Volkswagen." Not exactly sure what that means. There's something had been lost in translation. The lights were turned off. Random unannounced checks by security guards with bright torches. So their last complaint was while they were glued there in the dark with no heat, having to pee, they were
Some guy
constantly being.
shows up with a flaming torch that's real bright. No,
Some
Jesus,
guy-
I know it's a flashlight.
They're annoyed by the fact that the security guards have the audacity to come with their mag lights and check up on.
Especially if they hit the the strobe setting that even the cheap ones have these days.
Mm-hmm. Now, Autoblogger is going to call out the Express a little bit. What the Express left out was the reason it could interview a protester was because he had been removed over the potential medical issue and was being held by police. The remaining 8 protesters, along with 6 scientific rebellion members who weren't glued, stayed in place through the night until Friday morning. The most recent post on the outfits...
Wait. Hold on.
Yep.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So these very brilliant young people who have glued themselves to the floor were complaining that they couldn't get a bowl to defecate or piss in or get food that they wanted, but yet they're with 6 people who ain't glued to shit.
Hey, mate, if I
Right?
bring you a bucket, we're essentially giving up. We got to man the line. We got to hold our positions.
But you want them to bring you the bucket? Is that so they look like they're submitting to your demands?
And the fact that the protocol is to glue yourself, get your picture taken, get popped off, arrested, turned out a day later, means that they're not concerned about their identity. Which
What
means
amazes me about this
one of those 6 people whose hands were not glued to the floor probably had a cell phone on them. Well, then again, the door was locked, so the French or the German
they shut off the Wi-Fi.
the German Uber
German
Uber couldn't get their food in unless you crammed it through the mail slot. And I don't even know if they have mail slots in the museum in Germany.
Doesn't Uber pretty much sound German anyway?
Mm-hmm.
It's got the umlauts, didn't it?
So anyhow,
Uber
the
Uber.
remaining 8 protesters, along with 6 scientist rebellion members who weren't glued, stayed in place throughout the night until Friday morning. The most recent post on the Twitter page at the time writing said that the police had arrived in the morning, arrested everyone, according to the German outlet Welt. The police took action against the other activists on Friday. Criminal proceedings were initiated for trespassing, coercion, and property damage. Coercion and property damage. I wonder if that property damage was shitting on the floor. Same CEO Bloom didn't get a chance to swing by before then. And stay tuned for protests to start showing up with backpacks of food and toiletries and pails full of kitty litter. That's the editorial joke there.
So, a couple things here.
Where do you unpack this?
I'm going to unpack this as everything I've seen in the last 3 years, and then it probably a couple years. It was building up slowly, and then all of a sudden it hit full throttle into a fucking wall of stupid.
Mm-hmm.
When we were growing up
Mm-hmm.
and we'd watch TV, Dad's like, that's not real. That shit don't happen that way.
Mm-hmm.
We learned real quick that most of everything you see on TV is bullshit and not real, to the point where it actually pisses you off. dad and mom teach you, and maybe I'm hitting on some subjects, a couple things here that are missing from these people's lives, but still, it seems like there's somebody smart enough around. The complete disconnect from freaking reality is what's amazing. I mean, my wife, where she works, they've been having people steal, and it's, a lot of times the answer is like, why can't I take it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, why can't you take it?
Well, I mean, we used to see this and watch it with glee on a fantastic little show in 2004 called Bait Car. Where
I got the right to take this out of here without paying for it.
Where the LAPD was continuously being accused of
tempting.
What's the legal jargon people like to say? Oh, baiting. Entrap people by leaving cars with the keys in the ignition or on the seat on the streets of LA with the doors unlocked.
You can't do this. You're entrapping my guy because he's now enticed by that automobile that doesn't have anybody in it. And oh my God, the keys are there, it's unlocked.
And
so what do you expect him to do?
And so if none of you have ever seen this treasure of a show, they had cameras sitting inside with, by the way, stickers, because of legal reason it is LA and it's a two-party town, with stickers on the console saying, warning, all activity in this vehicle are being recorded. And usually it's some 16 to 25-year-olds, both men, women, of every LA County group, taking these cars and then being completely shocked and saddened when the car ignition shuts off because, well, OnStar.
Labels. Who reads labels?
And then the cops come in and arrest everybody for Grand Theft Auto. Because people think, well, it's not locked up, it's not secure, clearly it's mine. And that's a big problem.
And I've been enticed now to take it. You enticed me.
See that cell phone store robbery that came out of Huntington Beach where the dude had his hand on his CCWP the whole time? Dude was, which by the way...
Which is tough to get in L.A., by the way.
Those phones can't be sold. Their serial numbers are listed as display models, but cokehead dipshit or meth head go over there and he breaks the console off and steals the whole board with like 7 iPhones on it. Whole time, homeboy's cameraman's behind somebody and the guy in front of him, plain clothes, just has a hand on his hilt of his pistol, just watching the guy. He's not going to pull on him unless the guy comes and tries to. And so the guy finally yanks it off, and he walks off that way, and the guy just follows him with his eyes with a hand on the gun and saying, I hope you can pay your rent now. And the guy just walks out, and that was it. But he had himself secured. But
he didn't get in trouble just because he had his hand on the hilt, did he? Because that is California. Okay.
Yeah, I'm well, sure. I don't know. They didn't cover that part in the 2-minute the TikTok video, but which brings me to another topic before we get to news. This is a fun one. I was going to call you, but I was going to save it for the show. Because the way we were raised in this country to think that guns are bad. Guns are bad.
Can you even buy a cap gun anymore?
Oh, no, yeah, but it has to fucking be painted like bright orange with a tip. But anyhow, well, you can find them at like Mexican flea markets, the old school style. Remember the first time you carried your firearm in public?
The last time I was?
The very first time you ever did.
Yeah, and concealed. It was open carry because I didn't have my CCW yet.
So it's a little different for you.
Well, I tell you,
did you feel dirty?
More nervous carrying it open for the first time.
Did you feel dirty? Did you feel naughty?
But yes, I think I know where you're headed with this.
Feel like you're doing something bad?
Being naughty?
Because your whole life you're talking about, guns in public are bad, okay? And so now here you are carrying a gun in public for the first time, and in my case, concealed. And in my case, I usually take my gun out of my area. I don't ever tell anybody where I carry my firearm, because, the whole point of a carry firearm is the element of fucking surprise. So I always position myself so that I can remove the firearm from my person so that while I'm in my vehicle, I'm riding in comfort. When I first did this, I'd be all concerned. I'd be like that 9th grader who smoked weed for the first time, all paranoid that everybody in the world's watching him,
and nobody gives a fuck.
Trying to put my firearm, make sure no one sees it. Bubble. And after like the 15th time, you realize, ain't a fucking person in this parking lot has situational awareness, and no one gives 2 shits and a fuck what I'm doing. I could wave this thing above my head, no one would recognize it.
They're just bitching that I backed into my spot for some stupid reason.
They're too busy looking at their phones or whatever. And so, day before Christmas Eve, I'm standing in my local Publix, and I, as you guys may or may not know, I had a TikTok that kind of went viral where people were highly annoyed by the fact that I pointed out that if you lived in Florida or you knew to living in Florida, that if you're concerned about firearms, anytime you leave your home in Florida for more than 2 hours, especially if you go to Publix, I can guarantee you're at least around 1 or 2 people with a fucking gun. You just don't ever know about it. People said I was talking dangerous, but whatever. So I'm waiting in line to get my pub sub. And we're talking about how cold it was. Brr, it's chilly. Get down to 40. Fuck, it's cold. And she was like, yeah, I got friends up in up north, man. They're freezing their ass off, too. I said, well, what about Washington, man? I said, you got 15,000 people without power. It's fucking snowing out there. She's like, it's crazy. People are shooting up substations. I was like, yeah. She's like, it scares me when I hear that they want people to walk around with guns. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there with a gun on my person, staying in Publix.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man.
And the guy next to me had just walked away, had a Keltac hat on. And she's a nice older lady. And I said, what are you talking? I can't come out. So I got a gun on me. I was like, well, what are you talking about? I said, you work in Publix. You're around guns all day long. I said, there's people in and out of here. Well, it just makes me nervous, the idea of people with guns. And I'm thinking, well, doesn't it make you feel more secure to know that there's respectable people with guns around in case the dickheads come in? Once again, I can't say I've got a gun. And it was just weird sitting there in front of a person
Well, I would like to ask you,
in Publix
lady,
while I have a firearm on me, her telling me how the idea of people walking around in public scares her, think that they have guns on them, and that people are encouraging other people to carry guns for protection.
Then she ought to be more afraid of automobiles going down the road, because I believe there was far more deaths on per
Especially here in fucking
100
Cape
people.
Coral.
Mm.
But yeah, I just got a kick out of the fact that while wearing a firearm, I had a conversation with a nice old
If
lady.
you only knew, lady. If
Yeah.
you only knew.
And once again, the guy who just walked away had a Keltac hat on. And I was looking at him trying to see if he was printing in the back. He had his shirt tucked in. I was looking for hard corners. Well, I don't see any hard corners. But anyhow, you ready for the news?
Sure.
News and
Hard
shit.
corners.
News
What are you
and shit.
talking about?
Here's them Gordon with some news and shit. Yeah, real quick. I was running downtown one time, going over the Edison Bridge. And you got to run through some undesirable areas before they rebuilt the park, and it was full of homeless people we've talked about previously. And as I'm
Hey,
walking,
where I'm staying, is that an undesirable area?
no, it's a good area. It's not too far from the area which I'm talking about, but they've since rebuilt that whole area. Somebody bought out the park. They put in an amphitheater. There's an outdoor stage down there. It's fucking beautiful. Prior to the hurricane, haven't been under since. So anyhow, I'm like 3 miles into it. I'm going over the bridge, and the Edison Bridge is a mile in each direction. And some guy and his wife are coming over. He's jogging. Shirt's all wet. Right in the middle of his chest is an outline of a fucking pistol. Apparently, he had a fucking band around his chest and was concerned about his safety while running in the River District, and had a pistol tucked into this band underneath. And so he had like the perfect dry silhouette of a pistol, while the rest of his shirt
Did you
is
ever
just
lose your
fucking.
shit?
I was just laughing running by. I was like, oh boy, I can't wait till you get in the car, or you look in the fucking mirror, or your wife stops and look at it. It's just like, I mean, it's still a little damp, but you can
It's
see
a modern hypercolor shirt.
you can see the somewhat dry outline of his pistol he had tucked in like one of those.
Looks like you're rocking an S&P.
It looked like one of those bands like you see, oh, you put this band around your belly and it'll help you sweat and lose weight. It looked like he put one of those up right below his tits and had his pistol tucked right in there.
Holster deal.
I was just laughing. Like,
Something like that. He's
I
got
can
a-
see your gun, dumbass.
He's got a fucking gasket on it. He just shoves it in there.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty funny. But anyhow, back to Gordon in the news.
Poinciana, Florida. I think I said that
Where
right.
is that?
Poinciana.
Poinciana.
Poinciana. Poinciana,
Yeah.
Florida.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Native American names.
2 people in Florida were arrested after one of them made a 911 call in order to give help with moving their belongings from the home they were burglarizing.
Sound
according to
thought.
authorities.
Same type of thing that would lead one to blow up 4 substations to rub
Actually, I think those guys were just a little smarter than this one. Just a little.
maybe these were distant relatives to the white trash lady up in fucking Pinellas County who stole the $29,000 and wrote checks to her mom.
Deputies responded to a home Saturday after a 911 call was made, but nobody spoke. According to the Polk County Sheriff's Office,
Just
at
heavy
the home,
breathing.
the deputies concluded that nobody lived there, but they found a male suspect and his girlfriend inside the home after entering through an unlocked door.
The doggy door. They just were too
I don't know
embarrassed to
what
say.
name's that. Deputies have been searching for the male suspect after identifying him from security videos as a burglar at the Dollar General store, because if you're going to burgle a store, it's got to be something as high quality and high priced as a Dollar General.
Well, let's let's pause and think about this for a second. We were making fun of the guys who shot the 4 substations and went to
they're
rob.
looking like freaking geniuses now.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe this guy is the head of the fucking class, and you just ain't looking through the right set of goggles, fella. So let's break this down.
If it's a the special
What
ed
the
class,
what was
okay,
your
yeah.
what was your reasoning why the guys who did the substation job were dumb?
Probably because it had some influence of.
No, their first, and which was right. Your first instinct was that's dumb because most businesses don't carry paper currency. Most of the transactions are done through debit. Now, with all that being said, out of any general store area, one may argue one whose demographic is of a lower financial institute, maybe people with bad credits and overdrawn bank accounts. Those
The
type of
occasional
people,
podcast host.
those type of people, podcast hosts included, may be more likely to carry cash because they don't have an open bank account. So maybe this guy was smart thinking, hey, if I go to the Dollar General, there'll be more cash available for me to steal because less people have bank accounts and debit cards.
Could very well be.
Not to mention they're
Point
probably
taken.
washed out and it's a zero net gain because the other half are on EBT. So I don't know. Just a thought.
Well, while talking to deputies, the female suspect told them that she called 911 for the purpose of having law enforcement help them move their belongings from the house that they were burglarizing. They also wanted to get a ride to the airport so they could spend a weekend in New York, according to the sheriffs. Again, complete, utter disconnect from reality.
Something tells me if you're robbing a Dollar General, you can't afford that $125 plane ticket to New York.
These are people who spend way too much time online, and they are totally just disconnected.
Well, and let's pause again because you brought that up earlier and I dumb plumb forgot. I think that is a huge problem. Tunnel vision. And you know where I see this the most? Young teachers. Let's think about this. They go elementary school to middle school to high school to college, and then as soon as they graduate college, they may take a year off, but usually they don't. They go right back into the education. So essentially, for their entire lives, they have never, for any long period of time, left the environment of being in people with at least the minimum age of 17 years old. So they did 12 years, 4 years of college.
Psychologically restrains them a little at times.
I'm saying that somebody who works in that environment, they're around kids their entire life because they went through school, then they went to college, and they went right back into the school system. Maybe that's why so many of these 20-year-old chicks are fucking these 13-year-old boys, because in their mind, that's their peer group because they never left the environment. They were only in college for 4 years, and they went right back into fucking middle school and high school around the same people they just spent 12 years around prior to their college years.
These are my people.
I'm not justifying it, but if you think about it, I mean,
no, I can see that.
kind of like, people who spend all day, years and years and years on the internet, they end up gluing themselves to a Porsche dealership and demanding a bucket of shit in and wonder why they can't get food. Because their parents have been tending to all their whims and needs, and they think it's our world.
And not telling them or ignoring them and not telling them, man, this shit's not real.
Yep.
At a young age. Obviously, you don't need to be told. Well, in today's day and age, maybe you don't need to be told after 6 years old.
I think this episode's good for at least 6 community guideline violations on YouTube tonight.
Let's go for the freaking 7.
Let's go for it.
So the deputies did help. This is the world's longest story out of Florida. Deputies did end up helping them with their belongings, and they did give them a ride.
Right to the old evidence locker.
But it wasn't to the airport. It was to the Pokey.
The Polk County Pokey?
According to the sheriff. Oh, the sheriff's office was trying to be snarky.
Mm-hmm. I don't like sheriffs who want to spend all their time in front of a camera working on their political careers.
Well, this was a Facebook post.
Like our sheriff who posts photos of people arrested. And these guys are currently in the blah, blah, blah hotel named after himself. And
oh, the showboater?
Our old sheriff, Scott, was that way. Anytime there was a fucking camera and a microphone around, he was in front of it.
I better not say that. Is he, of a Mediterranean descent?
The new one? Yes.
Okay.
Scott was the one who got in trouble for introducing Sarah Palin in a sheriff's uniform when she came to town back when she was running for
And what's
vice
wrong?
president.
Oh, because it's
Because he
it's
was at a
conflating
partisan
this with
rally
that.
in his work uniform. If he was in his civvies, they wouldn't have cared. But he was in his Lee County uniform, because he can't stay away
Heads
from the
up.
goddamn camera.
Coming out of Canaveral, Florida.
Cape Canaveral or Cape
There is a
Coral?
low threat, but heads up. Old NASA satellite is falling out of the sky this weekend. Hope I'm not late on this story. A 38-year-old retired NASA satellite is about to fall from the sky.
Eh.
NASA said Friday the chances of the wreckage falling on anybody as well, it's pretty low. It's very low. Most of the 4,500-pound satellite will burn up upon re-entry, according to NASA, but some pieces are expected to survive.
I hope I find one so I can sell it on eBay.
Space Agency put the odds of injury from falling from debris at 1 in 9,400, which is way better odds than playing any lottery.
There's more than
So you may
9,000
get
people in
The
Florida.
Sky Dunk Lottery. Just hopefully it didn't dunk you in the nugget. The science satellite is expected to come down Sunday night, give or take a plus or minus 17 hours, according to the Defense Department.
Could you imagine being somebody who survived Hurricane Ian? You just got a brand new roof put on your house after fighting your insurance company and getting that claim and getting on a waiting list and find people from a roofing company come out and put a new roof on, and Sunday rolls around and you get a fucking satellite in your fucking living room. Ah, son of a bitch.
Or you almost lost everything. You finally rebuilt and it comes through and it just burns down the place.
I thought that scene from Donnie Darko was bad when the jet engine fell through the bedroom. This would be a lot worse.
Yep. The California-based Aerospace Corporation, however, is targeting Monday morning giving or taking 13 hours. So they think they've got a better. I'm sure there's some wagers going on here.
Well, this is the same group of scientists who call, a meteor traveling past Earth at 4 million miles a close call.
Well, if we only realized how big space really was, you could see it. It's amazing. But anyway, they're tracking this passing over Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. It'd be weird if it landed on Russia. And weathermost areas of North and South America. It won't, because that's not discussed. The Earth Radiation's budget satellite, known as the Earth Radiation Budget Satellite.
They didn't come up with a cute acronym.
Car?
They didn't come up with like a cute acronym. Usually they love their acronyms or their abbreviations.
On my way, or ERBS.
Thank you.
Herbs. Was launched in 1984 above the space shuttle.
He's still a baby. He's a fucking millennial.
One of the last flights for
He's
the
a millennial.
Challenger.
He's fine. He'll be all right.
Although the expected work life was 2 years, the satellite kept making ozone and other atmospheric measurements until its retirement in 2005. One thing I will give NASA, their shit seems to be lasting 2 times plus longer than what they predict.
Well, that's because they don't have the budget money
Aim
anymore, so
low
they got to
and
make shit
go
last.
high and look like heroes.
They no longer get that unlimited budget.
How
from
long
the
is that
federal
going to last?
government.
10 years? We'll say 2.
Mm-hmm.
Make us look good.
Well, to
The
be
satellite
fair
got
to
the
them,
official
back in the
send-off
day,
from Challenger.
technology was changing so quickly. Now they can get away with. Well, that's what I heard. I heard that the Mars shit we sent to Mars, like because how
That's
long
the
it took to
one-
get there,
that's the one.
it's so out of date now.
Yeah. Get
Push a
back, and
firmware
it's,
update. It'll get there in
It's
20 years.
270p picture at the best.
Yeah, we'll send a
Um,
firmware. It'll be there in 10 years. Send a firmware update. It'll be all right.
So this particular satellite did get a special send-off from Challenger, America's first woman in space, one Sally Ride, if you remember, releasing the satellite into orbit using the shuttle's robot arm.
Now, did you say the first female in space or the first female in orbit?
first woman in space? America's first woman in
I think
space.
Stan and Haney
I know they
pointed
say
out,
that there may be a dead Russian female astronaut from Sputnik floating around there
I
somewhere.
think Stan and Haney pointed out that she just barely left orbit and then came right back. She didn't spend
No,
any
that's-
pronounced amount of time.
No, that was Jeff Bezos.
Oh, him too.
And Richard Branson. That's why Elon didn't go. He's waiting to actually get to space, I think. Although his is going to be a one-way trip.
I was
not
gonna say
coming
he's
back.
waiting for his landing, his living quarters to be complete and get the fuck off this rock.
I thought you were going to say he's waiting for his mothership to return and pick him
that
up.
too.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams, which I thought he was a little more better. He was pro 2A.
He was an ex-cop, wasn't he?
Ex-cop, yes. Well, he got ticketed.
Good.
For rats in his Brooklyn home.
Rats under the dishes. Rats over the dishes.
After the Democratic mayor appeared remotely before the hearing officer on December the 6th.
To be fair to him, he has three other houses.
In order to get his $300 summons for rats at his property dismissed.
Over the dishes.
So say you're the judge.
Rats.
Next case, New York City versus one Eric Adams, and it's the mayor.
It depends. Are you a Republican judge?
You gonna let me off of this? Come on.
Are you a Democratic judge who's upset that your guy didn't win?
A rat burrow was observed along the ledge of the fence line.
That's like a punk bar, ain't it? The rat burrow.
According to the inspector.
I think I saw
I
DRI
don't think we have rat inspectors out here, and we probably should. Fresh rat droppings were reserved in the front garbage bins in the yard.
As they should be.
At front right. So apparently, if you have rats and they're leaving evidence, you can get a ticket. You're not taking care of it.
So play expense.
According to Adams, he said, it's not true. I have a camera at the house. I looked back at the date.
Those are guinea pigs.
How many of our dates are actually right? I can't even keep the time right on my freaking Lorex for some reason.
I had a DVR that the CMOS battery died on.
Mm-hmm.
In the factory time when it lost power went back to 1972.
Oh, dear Lord.
The problem is that the recordings would only go back to 2001. And so when the recording was dated 1972, it couldn't go back that far. Why anybody would make a DVR with a firmware that would default to 1972, especially after Y2K, the world may never know.
Right. Yeah, we just put it's not a birth year, dude. You know.
Well, what you gotta do is you gotta see what time it is now. See what time it is on the
$7,000 in rat mitigation, and he's not gonna pay this $300 to the city.
No, so do what I say, not as I do. I think if he doesn't pay that, everybody in New York City who gets a rat bill should say, "Hey, the mayor said don't pay it."
He's a rat bastard. New Delhi, not Old Delhi, not a place you get a sandwich.
Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Indian police have arrested an unruly airline passenger following, sorry about that, a complaint by a woman. I would assume it's
Are you talking about a birthing person?
What's that?
Are you talking about a birthing person?
I'm about to find out. I haven't read the whole
You
story
said a
yet.
woman. I said a birthing person.
It's news to all of us.
You're not a woman. You're a birthing person.
Complaint by a woman on Air India flight from New York that had urinated on her business class.
Some people pay extra for that.
Urinated on her in business class. One, Shankar Mishra.
There you go, fast and hard.
Was picked up by police in the southern city of Bengaluru.
There you go.
And brought to the Indian capital on Sunday. New Delhi police spokesman Simone Lava stated that Sunday, Nalva declined to say whether Mishra told investigators.
You can just change the names for to protect the innocent if you want. Let's do Dragnet rules. Let's just change the name to protect the innocent. Yes. Sheila and Tina.
The Times of India newspaper cited Mike saying that he was drunk and could not believe what he had done. According to New Delhi court, they sent him to prison for 14 days as police investigated a complaint accusing Michael of outraging the modesty of a woman during a New York to New Delhi flight. If convicted, he faces 3 years in prison.
Is there a seating chart for this arrangement by any chance?
Everybody moves around, so it doesn't matter.
Because I'm confused. How close was this woman sitting to this man that if he were to urinate with his equipment still holstered, that it would get on her? Or did the man unholster his equipment and arc that shit over the back of the seat?
Witnesses everywhere.
Did he arc it and go over the back of the seat?
And then everybody wants to mind their own business so bad they don't even
Not even
come up as a witness.
Not even a single TikTok
I don't
video.
want to get involved with this. It's going to take too much fucking time. I see nothing.
Because seriously though, I mean, even if you're sitting next to a person who urinates themselves while their gear is still holstered, how does that get on you? Maybe on your long dress, perhaps. But unless he, excuse me, while I whip this out, pulled out his equipment and then started going with the gun vernacular, flagging the range. How does he urinate on this poor innocent bystander?
It has
See?
to be on purpose.
Journalism's dead. Otherwise, these questions would have been answered. I shouldn't have to ask
Yes,
them.
they
I have to read
were,
them
and
the
I'm
story.
actually not going to get any further into this. You made me think though. Maybe I made myself think that with the whole comment of everybody is too into themselves. They don't want to get delayed or whatever inconvenience, so they just kind of ignore the situation
Because
and
they
don't say
know
anything.
if they call the police, they're going to have to sit on the fucking
Well,
plane for an hour.
right. Well, what I'm getting at is this has happened to me a couple of times out here. One was over here right by Southern Hills Hospital. I come upon a fresh accident scene.
Oh boy.
I did not stop.
Good for
because there
you.
appeared to be plenty of help there already.
Good for you. Doing your civic duty, not stopping because fuck the lawyers. I made the horrible mistake.
And there was already 4 or 5 people there.
I made the horrible mistake one time while driving to a customer's office, driving down the street, and there was a car in front of me. It was a home massage therapist, and she drove through the red light, at which point I verbally said, oh, fuck, she ran through the red light, at which point she got T-boned by an old couple. I pulled into the security. It was hotter than shit, out there sweating my ass off, writing a police report. Security, you gotta move your van. Oh, fuck you. Move my van out of their driveway, fill out the police report. Yeah, she ran the red light. How do you know she ran the red light? Because I literally said, oh, fuck, she ran a red light and got T-boned. Go about my business. 2 years later.
Now, did you have a video recording of this too?
No. 2 years later, I get subpoenaed. And called down there, much like an episode of Alice's Restaurant. You got the lady who got hit and the lady who did the hitting. The lady got hit turned out to be 80 years old with a full Cadillac full of senior citizens.
Oh, shit.
And the lawyer of the person who did the hitting and the running of the red light, I'm sorry, the woman who ran the red light and got hit, even though it was her fault, came at me as if me and the Cadillac full of olds had some conspiracy to defraud people out of insurance money.
Did you look at him and say, that sounds absolutely ridiculous?
Wanted to
Why
know.
would anybody want to put a car full of old people in harm's way, much less themselves?
Wanted to know the distance at which the brake lights came on and traveled through the red light. Wanted to know how I knew she ran a red light, to which I said, because I verbally said out loud, holy fuck, she just ran a red light.
That was your quote in the court?
Well, it was mediation, but yes. And came at me with questions. The only reason he had answers to is because he sent the fucking paralegal out there with a fucking measuring wheel to measure these distances 2 years earlier. Was it raining that day? No, it wasn't. It was hot. How do you know it was hot? Because I remember distinctively standing out in the hot fucking sun, sweating my ass off, filling out the police report until the security guard came and asked me to move my fucking van because I was blocking their driveway, and then I had to come back, and by the time I got to the job, I was covered in fucking sweat. Long story short, by the time this thing was over, the lawyer of the old folk looked at me and said, I bet you will never file a police report again and be a witness to an accident. And I said, you're fucking damn right I won't. And I left. My current boss made a mistake of witnessing an accident and filled out a police report and dealt with similar issues. And so this yesterday morning, he said, boy, school's back in service. And I said, yes, it is. How do you know? He said, because there was an accident right at the fucking Del Prado. As I was pulling off my street, I said, did you stop and fill out a report? He said, fuck no. I said, good for you. Because the insurance, not the insurance, the lawyers. The lawyers are fucking pricks, and they're the reason why people don't do
They're
the
finding
civic
every
duty.
way in the world to get their shitty client who caused the accident off. That's all they're doing.
I'm going to be discreet. I know somebody.
Are you Saul Goodman, sir? Are you Saul Goodman? Because this ain't Saul Goodman's way better than this. Are you hearing the words that's coming out of your mouth?
I know somebody.
That's the way I'd be, and I'd probably get in trouble. So
I know somebody, a young cat, who nudged somebody in a parking lot, had barely a scratch on their vehicle,
did they nudge a nudge?
and Police forms were filled out. Faults were admitted to. People went about their day. A few months later, this person gets a letter that they're being sued for all these damages because this person can't walk. Even though there was no damage to the car because he was doing about 2.5 miles per hour. Now this person didn't do.
And for those of you who don't know, the bumper on a car is rated for 5.
The damage to the car was so minute that when the insurance guy came out to look at it, he couldn't determine the damage from the accident versus the fucking scraping from the roofing tile from hurricane damage. And he had to ask, is that hurricane damage? He's like, no, that's accident damage. He's like, there's nothing there. He said, exactly. What they found out is, because they weren't one to be trifled with, this person has a history of lawsuits.
Oh, slipping Jimmy.
Now, this person who has to go to a chiropractor because they're so fucked up from this accident at 2.5 miles an hour has a very nice long entry on Yelp at her favorite chiropractor from 8 years ago. So this woman basically goes to chiropractor because she enjoys it and then involves herself in occasional accidents so she can get someone else to flip the bill. So long story short, I think she's going to be surprised when she finds out that this one's not going to
Yeah,
get
you see, we got what we
anticipated.
call a history here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no! Every
Yeah, but
one of those,
when you're
every
claiming
one of those are somebody else's fault.
when
That
you're-
wasn't on me.
When you're claiming you're damn near crippled from an accident, that the damage of the car that allegedly perpetrated the issue
My dog
is,
probably
is
jumps
hard to
into
determine
harder.
between that and the scratches caused by roofing material from a hurricane. Yeah, but anyhow, is that it for the news?
That is all I have to say.
That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. 5 years going strong. We want to thank everybody for your continued support. And you want to support the show, you can do it in 2 ways. 1, for free. You can just tell people to listen to our show. That'd be great. Or 2, you can go to what'sinyourhead.com or d-410.com. Click on that Patreon link. Like and subscribe. Sign up. It only costs you $1 a month. There's 2 other plans, but we won't go down that road. $1 a month is all we're looking for. And that'll go a long way to support what we're doing. And as we said earlier about the YouTube stuff, you want to head over to d-410.com or what'sinyourhead.com. Click on that YouTube channel, sign up and subscribe, and you can help support the show that way through helping us get money through advertising, and that won't cost you $1 either. But anyhow, thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.